Hey YouTube, welcome back to Unix TCG, and today we are going to do another Dragon Ball Super card game Fusion World video. This time, kind of just giving some info and talking about the general balance of Set 1's meta. A lot of people are just like, go green or go home, but there's other decks that can be played, and I want to talk about why and how each deck, each color, interacts with each other. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into that. I just want to also say that you guys have been supporting this channel in just a major way. These videos have been busting like goals, doing great views, and I'm going to try to continue that energy if you guys are willing to continue that energy. So, I'm going to set another like goal for 100 or more likes on this video. Let's see if we can just crash that, break through that barrier again. And then if you want to help out the channel in other ways, you can always go to my link tree, check out the other corners of Universe X, sub, follow, wherever you want. And then I think late tonight, I'll be summoning for Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on Dragon Ball Legends. So if you want to hop over to Unix DB tomorrow and check that out, much appreciated. So let's hop into the discussion. So first, we're going to start off with good old reliable red, a main character color right now. Red is very, very interesting because in the first 4 turns of the game, the first 4 energy that you charge, red probably has the second highest aggressive capability, but the highest utility, like the highest level of utility going on for those 4 turns. Like, you gotta think, in those first 4 turns, red is able to cast 1-drop Roshi from set 1 and take a life and start playing 1-cost extras for free, such as Assemble Universe 7, Assemble Universe 6, to be able to draw or search your top 5 for those respective universe traits. On turn 2, you have cards like Hit, which are going to be able to come down and minus something by 5k, give you a life, or take a life, and that's going to be able to hit for 20, soften things up and hit over them, things like that. You've got big swingers like the Krillin Self-Awakener that's going to go up to 20k. You have things like that. On 3, you have the ability to play cards such as SR Goku, which is a 25k body that's going to smoke something off the field that's 2,000 power or less. Combined with something like Hit on turn 2, you're going to be able to get rid of even 25Ks going into that turn 3. So there's a lot of stuff. And then of course on 4 energy, you're playing bombs like UI Goku SR if you so choose to. So yes, red has unparalleled amounts of utility in the first 4 turns of the game. They also have probably, I'd say, the second highest destructive capability in those first couple turns. The things that they're good against, right? Red and yellow will duke it out. Or sorry, red and blue will duke it out. They both have a lot of good plays in those first couple turns. But red and yellow should be a pretty good matchup favored on red. Red just has cards that are going to remove yellow's bodies easily. SR Goku touches most of yellow's deck, and then outside of that, it only really takes a couple of cards to destroy something. If you're using the promo extra card, Awakening to Super Saiyan, that goes minus 25 when you're awakened, that'll get rid of almost anything yellow can play. And when they play something that's above it, like a 35k, like a 5-drop Frieza, if you're playing something like Beerus, just your activate main and that same extra card are going to be able to get rid of an entire body. So yeah, red is just on that point where it has a lot of good removal, and because the removal is based on power dampening, if you want to swing on it, like, you always have the option to activate your removal, swing on it, and see how much your opponent is willing to give you from their hand, or if they're willing to take it off the board. And if they just let the body go, then you're going to be able to then use the rest of your energy for other plays. If they drop cards from hand, then you can still finish out the rest of your removal play and haha, got him type moment. So yeah, that is red. Now, what red does suffer against is that red has a tough time facing the stabilized might of green, and go figure, everybody does. But red also doesn't have the same amount of speed that maybe certain other decks that we'll talk about in a moment can when it comes to beating green down in the early game. Red has to win in the mid game, and that can sometimes be a gamble with the current state of the game, the card quality, because if green can survive till 6 energy, then you're just going to have an uphill battle from every turn past that as a red player. So just understand that. I think red still has good matchups across the board, at least 50-50s everywhere except green. And I think that sometimes red can just get on a roll. Red has a lot of good removal and can actually reach the highest because red doesn't remove based on cost, red removes based on power. So because of this, red is probably the only color that can successfully remove things like 8 cost Broly outside of 8 cost Broly, you know? So that's something to be mindful of. Now we're going to go over to blue. Blue is in a very, very weird space right now. Blue right now can put on pressure in the early game, put on pressure in the mid game, but what is missing right now most is a way to close out the late game. Blue's power is supposed to come from having 7 or less cards in hand and having all of your cards gain extra power from that. But as most of you guys have noticed by now, 7 or fewer cards in hand is just asking to get ran over in the mid to late game. So a lot of the I think the best blue leader right now is Trunks, simply because Trunks, with his bouncing back to hand effect once he's awakened, he's an easy awaken because of mine, and once he's awakened he start bouncing things back to draw more and more cards. Trunks can pretty much have the highest cruising altitude of hand in the game, and that's something that you should definitely look forward to. However, having a hand that big cuts off almost every effect that blue has. You're not playing your final flashes for one, you're not getting off, you know, your heightened attack power for Trunks, you're not recycling extra cards with Piccolo, and so just the best deck in that color, by having a volume of like books in their hand, they're not going to be able to activate blue's saucy effects. So you have this kind of clash. Now blue is going to be unparalleled in combo power, mainly because of Peel Off and Final Hope Slash. You were just really going to never really run out of hand until you finally do, when you decide to expend it, and that is going to be blue's greatest strength. However, when it comes to its red matchup, like I said, red can put on the pressure and red will remove your bodies. So it's a little harder to keep bodies on the field like Peel Off and some of the other things, because red will just go through them. Then when it comes to your yellow matchup, yes, if you run Sickle, you're going to be significantly better off, but yellow can also put up a wall of blockers that'll make it a little harder. And you can bounce maybe 1 or 2 of them, but you're not really bouncing cooler without expending energy to do so. So yellow and blue can go back and forth. But I do think that there are some times where yellow will just play optimally, draw optimally, and it'll be an issue. Then it comes to green, and once again, if blue already had a problem closing out the game, that means that they get weakest at the time where green gets strongest, and that is by far the issue here. So yeah, it's good, but dang. Next, we are going to go over to yellow. And I would say that yellow, arguably across the board, maybe the second best color for a couple of reasons. But yellow is going to be a color that excels at A, providing blocker after blocker after blocker. They probably have just the most valuable blockers in the game, with self-awakener blockers, blockers that can rest something when they get KO'd, blockers that can draw a card when they get KO'd. So they have the best blockers across the board. What they also have is a 5-cost double strike that's going to tap down your best card in Frieza. And as we all know, those 5-strike doubles, or those 5 costs from the starters, they're not the easiest to get rid of. So if you can get rid of a Frieza, that Frieza will tap down your strongest card every turn. If they happen to play a second Frieza, it will tap down 2 of your strongest cards per turn, not removing them, but effectively making them useless unless they had an activate man ability, which a lot of bosses don't have yet in this game. There's a lot of on plays and on attacks. So with that being said, Frieza is also able to pin down quite a lot of your cards, tapping 1 to tap something with Frieza, or tapping 2 to play Goldo and tapping it to give you a mini Golden Frieza effect of locking your card. You've got blockers that can tap things when you block with them or when they swing, and cooler. They've got a lot of utility, and there's a lot of flexibility with the way they play. The other thing that's crazy is that while they do have a great mid-range capability, yellow also has the most aggressive package in the game when it comes to the Ginyu Force. Yellow is going to be able to play 2-drop after 2-drop after 2-drop after 2-drop, mix in a 1-drop every now and then, untap energy, play a 3-drop, go off, and swing on you. Sometimes 7 times, 8 times in one turn, sometimes 9 times in one turn. And then if you're running the cooler leader, you're going to be able to play cards like Cooler or Frieza and swing with their big bodies and then untap them by discarding a card in hand. So with that being said, you really have the most aggressive package being in yellow, and that's the really scary part. When you see Frieza, you can assume maybe it's mid-range, but it could be Ginyu. When you see the Ginyu leader, you know it's Ginyu, and that's Rush. When you see the Cooler leader, it could be anywhere between low to the ground Super Rush and, you know, like just small bits of kind of mid-range thrown in there. But you never know until they really start to play, and that high or low could be the death of you. You have to play differently when you know your opponent's coming at you with the Ginyu package. So yellow is on that level. And then finally, we're going to talk about green. Green is a very strange color because green was built to ramp and then play in-game bosses. And when green is playing those in-game bosses, no other color is playing the same amount of power in that end game. Like, no other color has a card that is as powerful as Broly 8. A lot of decks are sitting here playing X, Y, and Z, playing 4-drops for their value slots, and green can tap 4 or 5 for a rare Gohan and pop your 4-drop. A 4-drop like King Cold SR, a 4-drop like UI Goku. And that can get a little detrimental for these other colors. There's a massive disparity. However, where green gets caught lacking is the early game. The early game, they're really only trying to get to 6 energy and beyond, so that first turn is nothing. That second turn is nothing. That third turn is hopefully Destructive Strength or Lab. That fourth turn is Vegeta or the pre-release promo or a Turles or, you know, like a 5-drop Goku. And then you're going to start getting to a point where they're playing bombs and cards that you have to deal with. But before then, you can apply a lot of pressure and they are not going to want to take it. You don't want to awaken on turn 3 as a green deck, so they will expend hand. Now, certain decks like Ginyu are extremely adept at pushing those cards out of their hand and putting them on a stretcher before they can awaken. And then with decks like Red, they can do it too, but it might be a little harder to draw that optimally. The point is, you need to press green to a point where it is defending every single swing like their life depended on it by the time they awaken, because it does. They need to be at 3 life to 2 life if you can help it by the time they awaken. If you can double strike them from 5 to 3, go ahead and then keep pressing on the pressure, because the only way you can win against green is when they don't have enough cards in hand to stop your shotgun and they're in shotgunnable range. You will not beat them on value going into that last round. So honestly, a lot of the times blue comes up short. Sometimes Trunks can get there with its massive draw power, and outside of blue coming up short, you also have green and you have red and yellow being able to close it out sometimes depending on the build, but still it's never going to be an easy matchup for them. Then you have the green versus green mirror that really is the top dog of the format. If you're playing green, it is the most important matchup for you to understand, and we're going to be going over a lot more of that on the channel. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys my basic summary of the current meta. I think if I had to say, I put green at top dog, followed by yellow/red. They both can do a lot of things, with blue at the bottom. And it's not saying that blue's a bad deck, it's just that blue right now mechanically is missing a couple of things to go off as hard as it can. It doesn't have a reliable top end, and the best way to play the deck currently is not how the game intended you to play blue. So that's unfortunate. But let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear what you, like, your thoughts, what you have to say. And honestly, I will see you guys in the next video. We're going to go to the Patreon appreciation slot, and I will hopefully be streaming tomorrow for the client. We're gonna have a huge pack opening. I literally have a stack of card codes like this. I'm gonna do a huge pack opening. Once I have a master set on the game, I'll be able to give away a lot of these codes, so look out to that. I'll probably do a little giveaway in my Discord, maybe do a little giveaway in my Patreon, or a bigger giveaway in my Patreon, but we'll see. That being said, thank you guys. I will see you guys later, and let me shout out the Patreon members. Alrighty then, we are once again at the Patreon appreciation bit. I'd like to say thank you for everybody that gives the extra oomph to this channel in many ways. Friday will be a day where I can start getting all of the giveaways started for this new season. I'll be putting out my first articles the following week for this season, and yeah, we'll start getting back into this on full swing for both One Piece and Dragon Ball. So thank you guys for being so patient. Thank you guys for that. Look out for the Uta started giveaways, as well as some Dragon Ball related ones as well. And then last but not least, I'd like to give a special shout out to the Realm of Xers. These are the guys that give the most of the most to me, and thank you so much for that. Burar, Brycear, Big Daddy Flapjack, I thank you for your patronage, and I hope to keep creating good content for you guys to consume. Thank you, all of you, and I will see you in the next video.